computers full of women.
Goat's milk latte drinking.
There you go again.
Please clap.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad-built butch body.
A what now?
And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
Where'd my banana haven't seen this?
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Who am I? Why am I here?
Are you a racist?
He's a jackass.
Pokemon go to the polls.
They know one thing. I hate rats.
Well, I'm not a crook.
I grew up castrating hogs.
4 glorious years, I guess.
Vote to confirm a ham sandwich.
Ooh, don't do it.
Still like beer?
20-foot impressive seahorse he's riding.
Correct. It's too damn hot.
What is the icon guy?
Icon.
You can't. Girlfriend, you were so long.
I have the ability to turn people on.
Sashay down there and vote for this amendment. Officially weird.
From one year to the next, are the same.
YouTube, welcome to the Keith Edwards Show live. We are here. It is Friday night. Let's get some music going because we are here. And by the way, Senator Van Hollen is here, or not here. He's back in America. He's back in America, and we have many clips from him that I'm excited to show you. Because if I don't know if you saw the live stream. Oh, I'm hearing some feedback from one of the producers. If there's a way to fix it. Okay, much better. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, no, it's still there. Producers, help. I'm trying to see, is that from me? Okay, there it goes. It's gone. Okay, sorry about that. I was hearing myself 5 million times, and I could. So, oh, it's back. What the fuck? Okay. All right. Sorry. I might have to take out my ear, but if not, we are still here. And this is clearly a live show. It is live, baby. And so I'm very excited to be with you here tonight. Like as I was saying, Senator Van Hollen is back from El Salvador, and we have some clips from that. We also have this really insane story about how Donald Trump is using fake gold in the White House. But before we get all to that, I want to just do some quick housekeeping because we have some exciting updates here for the Keith Edwards Show. One is that we are officially on Facebook. We are on Facebook. So if you are on Facebook, give us a like. Give us a follow, because when we have 100 followers on Facebook, which by the way, we have 62 right now. So if you want to be part of an elite club, join our Facebook where we have a very small but growing community. That is if you're on Facebook. We are also on Spotify now. We are on Spotify now. So if you use Spotify, you can search in the Keith Edwards Show, and then you can get you can hit follow, and you can get updates from us there as well in case you're not on YouTube at the time. So just we're trying to expand where you can get us. And then also secondly, most importantly, actually, we have a new producer here. I'm very excited to introduce that we have Gen Z Megan. Gen Z Megan, our new producer. Gen Z Megan, why don't you say hello? There she is. Thank you so much for joining us, Megan. Megan's going to be running the show. It's her first time doing this, so we're very excited for her. And please just give her a very warm welcome and a hello to Gen Z Megan. Megan, thank you so much for being here. And I'm excited to work with you.
I'm excited to work with you too.
All right. We'll see you soon. Okay. Now let's get into this first story. As I said, Donald Trump has infected the Oval Office with gold. Now, this is what it used to look like. Okay, this is what the White House used to look like. As you can see, pretty standard. You got Martin Luther King there. I believe that is Robert F. Kennedy, not Jr., just Robert F. Kennedy. There's Joe Biden. I never understood why he did this, shaking Donald Trump's hand. Whatever. But then you have, this is what the White House looks like now. It's obscene. And this is all added from the Trump people. All this sort of stuff. Now, I hate how it looks. That obviously, Donald Trump has he just loves gold. I don't understand it, that he loves gold. I think it's so gaudy, it's tacky. But it turns out this might not be real gold. This might be fake gold. And so some investigative investigative TikTokers were doing some sleuthing. And what they did was they found this exact piece right here that is behind them on the fireplace. And they were able to discover what it really is. And here's that.
What the fuck is this gold shit up here?
I found the shit. It's this polyurethane thing. You can buy it from Home Depot for $58. And then you go to the other aisle and get the gold spray paint. And then you put them all over the Oval Office. I'm gonna guess one of these little fatties is over the pediment in the doorway.
Yeah, so that is arts and crafts. Arts and crafts is what we have in the White House. Arts and crafts. I can't believe that they are literally spray painting gold in order to make Donald Trump happy. And as over it says, all made in China, I'm sure. And someone else says, Big Hug Love Bug says, looks like TJ Maxx, LOL. And you know what? I forgot to do something at the top, and we're going to do it now. We are going to be doing a pop quiz. So I don't know if you have been here before, but we ask you a trivia question. And then of those who get the trivia question, get it right, they can get a free democracy hat. We had a winner last week. She got sent a hat yesterday. And so let's do this first pop quiz, and we'll give you we're going to ask the question now. We'll have the answer at the end of the broadcast. So let's put it up. Pop quiz. All right, and here's the question. All right, which two amendments to the U.S. Constitution guarantee the right to due process? A, First and Second. B, Fifth and 14th. C, Fourth and 6th. D, Third and 10th. Again, which two amendments to the U.S. Constitution guarantee the right to due process? A, First and Second. C, Fourth and 6th. B, Fifth and 14th. D, Third and 10th. Okay, and so they're starring all of the correct answers right now. Do not Google this. Let's just just use your own knowledge. Don't use AI. And we will get back to this at the end of the show. Okay. Now, and we also wanted to pull up a poll. We want to put a poll where I have a question for you. I don't know if you saw, I actually don't have a picture of this up here. I don't know if you saw that Gayle King and Katy Perry went to space a couple days ago. And how did we ask this question? How are we phrasing the poll? Okay. So is this space flight, this Blue Origin flight, we want to know if you think this was a win for women, which was an all-female crew, or win for the rich. So we're going to put that poll up right now, and we're going to get, we'll talk about that at the end of the show as well. So, okay, now let's get to this second story, which is honestly, I think like a really important thing that's happened is that, as you know, Senator Chris Van Hollen went all the way to El Salvador. He went all the way to El Salvador, and he did the thing. Now, the right wing was making fun of him, saying, "Oh, he's never going to get to El Salvador, and or if he does get to El Salvador, he's never going to meet Kilmar, Armando Abrego Garcia." But he did it. He was relentless, and this is what it means to be a leader and a fighter. When you are actually, you take a step out from what people think is possible, and you actually make it happen. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And so he got back to the United States earlier today. We actually live streamed it here on the show. And for those of you who didn't see it, I want to just talk more about this because I think what he said was just so revealing. And so the first thing he said was that, well, actually, before we get to what he said, let's talk about what Trump said earlier that day, because then Chris Van Hollen actually commented on that and pointed out that it was all a setup. But here's what Donald Trump said.
Sir, go ahead, please.
Photos have emerged of Senator Van Hollen sipping what appears to be margaritas with Abrego Garcia down in El Salvador. Do you encourage other Democrats to fly down to El Salvador to meet with this illegal alien who's an accused wife?
I like this guy. See, now this is the kind of a reporter we like. There aren't enough of them. We got to get some more of them.
So as you saw there, that reporter was inferring that because there was a margarita on the table that like Garcia is like on some sort of vacation. Now, we've come to learn through Chris Van Hollen, I'm going to let him explain it, but we've come to learn that that was all a setup. That was a setup. It was a propaganda piece put in place by the Salvadorian government. And then the president of El Salvador actually tweeted about it in order to show that like things are fine for Garcia. But let's see how Senator Van Hollen described what happened.
About what I would call Margarita Gate. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but President Bukele, you know, after I met with Kilmar, did this tweet showing us at a table with these two glasses. So here's what happened. When I first sat down with Kilmar, we just had glasses of water on the table. I think maybe some coffee. And as we were talking, one of the government people came over and deposited two other glasses on the table with ice and I don't know if it was salt or sugar around the top, but they look like margaritas. And if you look at the one they put in front of Kilmar, it actually had a little less liquid than the one in front of me, to try to make it look, I assume, like he drank out of it. Let me just be very clear. Neither of us touched the drinks that were in front of us. And if you want to play a little Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you how you can know that. So if you look at the video or the picture I sent out from the beginning of our meeting, you'll see there are no glasses on the table. So you'll see in later videos they are on the table. But they made a little mistake. For some people, are very careful, right? If you sip out of one of those glasses, some of whatever it was, salt or sugar, would disappear. You would see a gap. There's no gap. Nobody drank any margaritas or sugar water or whatever it is. But this is a lesson into the lengths that President Bukele will do to deceive people about what's going on. And it's also shows the lengths that the Trump administration and the president will go to, because when he was asked about a reporter about this, he just went along for the ride. So the White House and the president have been lying about this case from the beginning. They've been trying to change the subject from the beginning. As I said.
Yeah. So it was a setup. It was an absolute setup. And I guess the question going through my mind is, was this something that just happened in the moment, or was this more coordinated? Because you might not have been catching the right-wing social media buzz around all of this, but when that photo was released, every single right-wing influencer commented on the margaritas. They commented on it. And then for Donald Trump to be thrown a question by a propagandist who is in the White House press corps, it seems to be a lot more coordinated than just like the president of El Salvador throwing up some drinks to make Garcia look like he's having the time of his life. It seems to me like maybe the president was involved as well. And if not the president, at least people in the right-wing media ecosystem. There's something that it doesn't pass the smell test to me. Now, in that same press conference, which is about a half hour long, the senator also made this really good point about our tax dollars, and I want to show that now.
What did Abrego Garcia say that the officials in El Salvador told him about why he was sent to that prison and how long he would be there?
They haven't told him anything about why he was sent.
Or how long he would be there?
They didn't tell him anything about that. In fact, I asked the vice president exactly that question. You know, why is he here? Is he violating any laws in El Salvador? Do you have any proof that he's committed a crime? No. Why is he here? Because the Trump administration is paying us to keep him here.
Did he say what he heard from other migrants?
The Trump administration is paying them to keep him there. So the whole argument of the Trump administration is, well, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing. It's out of our hands now. It's in a foreign government. Do any of you believe that if the Trump administration stopped paying for Garcia to be there, which, by the way, is illegal, and there's no reason why he should be there. He was legally allowed to be in America. He was illegally deported. The administration has already admitted to the fact that it was a mistake. And in fact, the lawyer who's admitted that it was a administrative mistake was then subsequently fired the next day for telling the truth. All those things aside, does anyone believe that the president of El Salvador would allow Garcia or anyone else that Trump is illegally detaining there to stay there out of the goodness of their heart if the taxpayers and the Trump administration stop footing the bill to keep them there? No, of course not. Of course not. So each day that those men, each day that prison is getting paid for by the American people is a day that the Trump administration is decided that they want to keep violating the law and the Constitution. And we just got to pause for a second, because what the F? Peter just gifted 50 memberships. We got to pause the show for that, because that is a big deal. Peter, thank you so much for gifting 50 memberships to the community. Can we please give some W's in the chat to Peter? Because that is amazing. Thank you so much for supporting the community and for showing up today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. And then we have one more clip from this moment, and that is where the senator gave a warning. The senator, he shot a warning, and I love this. And I don't know if the legacy media will pick up on it, but I certainly did, and I'll tell you why after we watch.
I've told the Vice President of El Salvador that I may be the first senator, member of Congress to be in El Salvador, to come down to El Salvador, but I won't be the last. There are others coming. I've got to give them a call after this meeting to brief them on my trip. But this goes back to the fact that, El Salvador is making a big mistake. President El Salvador is making a big mistake in being complicit in this illegal scheme. How long did you meet for?
So I love that. So he was like, bitch, I may be the first. I will not be the last. I think we need to send a senator there every week, every 2 weeks, But it needs to be relentless, and one at a time, because what happened, and this is what the senator said in that press conference, is that because he was there, local media picked it up. And just so you know, 8 or 9 days ago, Garcia was moved from CSCOT, I forget how you pronounce it, to a different prison. So all of this pressure is working. All this is working in. Big Hug Love Bug is asking, how much are we paying? And I believe it's $28 million, $30 million, something like that. So the Trump administration, who is trying to cut waste and fraud, is wasting our money keeping people in a foreign prison illegally. Okay? All right. And then I just want to say thank you again to Peter. That's so generous. Thank you so much for gifting those subs to the community. That's awesome. Okay. And we're going to keep on theme. Oh, actually, no, I wanted to show one more clip, or not clip. I want to show one more thing about this. And that is the White House tweeted this really insane tweet where they repurposed the New York Times. They said the senator meets with deported MS-13 illegal alien who's never coming back. Now, why I don't know why they did this, because what Joyce White Vance said about this is that I suspect this is going to show up in a variety of court pleadings. Whoever thought this was cute at the time may be less giddy when this becomes evidence of intent to disobey a court order. And I just want to let you know how these sorts of things work, because I actually met with someone who worked in the digital side of the White House 2 days ago. And they said that the White House account would tweet maybe at most 9 times a day during the Biden administration. But that's because they had to go through many layers of approvals because it's the White House tweeting. So it's like the lawyers are looking at it, communications people are looking at it. It goes through multiple processes and revisions. This White House tweets 9 times every hour. And so do you think this stuff is being passed through by lawyers or by people who could say like, oh, we have to actually do some research around? No, of course not. No one is looking at this stuff. No one's looking at this stuff. And that is not a great way to run an account that has worldwide implications. Now, I want to go, I'm really excited for this next guest. I'm sad that it is under these circumstances, but we have an interview with this gentleman who is friends with, I don't know if you've heard about this story, but a Palestinian student was detained. Again, they're all these illegal detained illegally when he was being, when he was having one of those final steps of becoming a U.S. citizen. But instead of having an interview, Mohsen Madawi, who's been in the United States for a decade, was taken away in handcuffs. Now, not many people have talked to him since. He's supposedly still in Vermont because a judge got on this really fast and paused everything. So we can't speak to him, but we do have his friend Mikey here to talk to us right now. Mikey, thank you so much for meeting with me and discussing what's happening with Mohsen and his illegal detainment. And I know that you're good friends with him. You've gotten to know each other really well the past 6 months. What is it you'd like people to know that they're just not hearing right now about what's happening with your friend?
There's two different things I think are important to say. First of all, I think all of these, these detainments and arrests are clearly illegal and clearly unconstitutional. But beyond that, with Mohsen specifically, I think it's such a clear demonstration of how absurd this whole process is, where like Mohsen is a true like peacemaker. He has gone out of his way over the last year, 6 months to build connections with Israelis like me. I'm an Israeli American citizen, and I'm not the only one. There are many of us who have gotten to know him over the past year, 6 months, and have been organizing with him and working with him. And I think what's really important to note is like you'll see a lot of his interviews, the 60-minute interview, the other ones where he talks about love and empathy. And I think oftentimes nowadays those words are like often like used really like willy-nilly, and it can be really easy to overlook that. And if there's one thing I want people to know about Mohsen is that he means it. This is a man who's experienced immense pain and trauma in his life. He held his when he was 10 years old, he held his best friend in his arms after his friend was shot and his friend was dying. At a certain point in his early 20s, he decided that violence wasn't the answer. He moved to America, converted to Buddhism, and he took those lessons of Buddhism, that empathy, that love, that universalism, and he truly extends it to people. He really cares about Israelis and Jews as he does his own people, and he has love, and he really wants to understand our story and our perspective and acknowledge our pain. And that's something that nowadays is so sorely needed and so lacking from the discourse.
But even if he didn't feel that way about things,
totally, 100%,
it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
100%.
Like, I think the baseline with all this stuff is your friend got illegally arrested or illegally detained because of political speech that he engaged
100%.
with. And
without a doubt.
And so like, I think it's great that you're making a character, you're being a character witness to your friend. And I think we need to hear these things. And I have a clip that I want to show in a bit of just how empathetic he is, but shouldn't have to do that because frankly, it doesn't matter whether you're a good person or a bad person. He didn't break the law.
Like we could say all these things about all the rights of all these people who've been illegally detained. But I think this is such a crystallization of just how the detachment from reality of what's going on now.
Let's look at this clip. This is your friend talking about his empathy for not only Palestinians, but Israelis.
I want people to know that my compassion extended beyond the Palestinian people. My compassion is also for the Jewish people and for the Israelis as well. The accusation that the pro-Palestine movement at Columbia was anti-Semitic is a false accusation. And it is unjust accusation.
Again, even if it were anti-Semitic, that's not against the law. It's not against the law. We have freedom of speech here. It's so I just think like they have moved the goalpost so far. It's like not even on the field anymore.
Like I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "Make sure you say you're also an American citizen." Like my mom is terrified right now. Like I'm gonna get arrested. Like this is, I don't think that's gonna happen. But like this is the reality we're living in, and like I think there's a lot of people who maybe like self-identify as liberal, but got annoyed with the protests because they felt like they heard Biden or Harris, or maybe are generally liberal but support Israel. And like I think there's a lot of people who might not really be reckoning with what's going on and how this translates. And like I think it's really important to emphasize that this is bad.
If it's happening to your friend right now, there's a way in which this thing starts to trickle down. When you start to get rid of the rights of someone, eventually it comes for everyone.
If you still believe that the system can work, we're optimistic.
What do you think?
I believe that the judicial system is working. I believe it is running the way it should be. Unfortunately, we do not have a judicial system with an enforcement mechanism.
And we have a president who is actively defying the Supreme Court at the moment. So it doesn't really give a lot of confidence that even if a decision does happen in favor of your friend, it doesn't mean that it's going to change anything. And that I think that's where we are. I think you and your friend it's such an example of how we're like just through the looking glass now. We kind of warned about this, that Donald Trump was speaking the language of fascism, and now the actions of fascism are here because your friend, again, did nothing wrong. He just engaged in political speech the president of the United States doesn't happen to agree with.
I mean, I think for me, like the irony is like as an Israeli, as a Jew who's, my grandfather fled Poland in the 30s, escaping anti-Semitism. His family was slaughtered in the Holocaust in the camps. Like this to me is highly reminiscent of my history. This is happening right now, right here under our noses. And in broad daylight. Like they're not even hiding it.
It's hard to keep things quiet. I think before there was a limit to how you could get information now, and now we can have folks like you on who can speak truth to power. I do wonder, like, if you had the opportunity to say something to Donald Trump, what would you say to him?
This is wrong. Like maybe just no one around him is telling him that these things are wrong and illegal and like objectively bad. I mean, you saw when in his first administration, we were surrounded by like some guardrails. Like the administration was, obviously he was pissed off about it, but like, so I don't know. There's so many things. The one who I really want to talk to beyond Trump, because Trump is, is Rubio.
Oh,
he's the one signing the orders, and it's just like coward. It's like you're a coward. Like, what is this for? Why?
I want to
become a senator.
I want to go to this because this is something that I read, and this is from the State Department. We're mentioning Rubio. He says that they're trying to move to cancel your friend Madawi's green card. His lawyer wrote in the filing, the Trump administration appears to be citing the foreign policy rule of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, which grants the Secretary of State the authority to cancel someone's permanent residency if they are deemed to pose a threat to American foreign policy. Mikey, does your friend Mohsen, does he threaten American policy, foreign policy?
No. Like I can elaborate. No, absolutely not. That's insane. They just don't like him, right? They don't like a bunch of college kids and liberal New Yorkers in their Ivy League schools, like making a ruckus. And like, first of all, absurd. This is a guy who, after he helped start the movement, actually separated from it because he found it to be, he found that it was not policing itself, and he wanted it to moderate its message. And he did find that like there were like strains of narrative and dialogue that were happening there that were not acceptable to him. And he didn't think the movement was doing a good enough job policing itself. For many of us, Israelis who are like in what I call the peace camp and like want to find a resolution from this conflict, or even like people who aren't and like theoretically want peace but like don't believe it's possible, there's this argument of like, where are the Palestinians who we can talk to? Where are the people who are like willing to have dialogue with us? And it's like, it's right here. This guy who you just arrested, this guy has spent the last year trying to build bridges and build community with Israelis. I'm not even talking about with Jews, with Israelis.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience that they can do or how they can help?
Write to your representative. I know that's like a thing people say, and it like, we think it doesn't matter, but from what I read and from what I understand, like it does. If we can't back Mohsen, then nothing. Then what are we doing? What's the point of us? What's the point of even having political leaders?
You're absolutely right. And to be honest, to the Democrats who are watching this, it doesn't matter what this is about. This isn't about the thing they want it to be about. This is about someone being illegally detained because of political speech. And it's a violation of our Constitution. It's an erosion of his rights, which is an erosion of all of our rights. And so 100%. I am so grateful that you're here, that you're speaking out, and please just keep me up to date as you learn more, because I don't want this to disappear. And so we have to make sure that we stay on top of it, because I don't trust the mainstream media with moving on to the next shiny object, that they will want to follow this all the way through. And I 100% do.
And I appreciate you, man. And thank you for having me. Thank you for letting our message be sent out there. And I appreciate you.
Thanks. Thank you so much to Mikey for joining and sharing that story. I hope you all got something out of that, because the thing is, the legacy media isn't going to focus on this in the way that we need them to. They want them to make it about Palestine and Israel. They want to make it about the things that Trump wants to make it about. And it's not about that. It's very simply about the fact that someone who has lived here for 10 years, who is legally allowed to be here, has been arrested and detained with no criminal proceeding, with no charges, because of political speech. And we cannot allow that to become, that needs to be the narrative. And we can't allow it to become anything else. That is the narrative. That is the narrative. All right. Thank you so much to Mikey again for joining. And okay, let's switch gears. Well, we're going to lighten it up a little bit. We're going to lighten up. Let's go back to the pop quiz, because as I told you, we are playing for a democracy hat, because this democracy is important. And what I love about this hat is that I love that it's kind of basically a liberal hat, because only one side believes in democracy. And so you can wear this hat and you're not thinking to yourself, oh, am I gonna, like, most people are like, oh, democracy, but it's also like basically signaling like, I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the good guys. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to, let's see that question one more time. Pop quiz. Okay. Which two amendments to the U.S. Constitution guarantee the right to due process? And it was A, 1st and 2nd, or B, 5th and 14th, C, 4th and 6th, and D, 3rd and 10th. Now, I accidentally selected the wrong. I've caught this before anything wrong happened. Because what we do, I'm going to bring you into a little bit of the pre-production. We make these ahead of time. And so I accidentally selected C, but C is wrong. It is not 4th and 5th. It is not A, 1st and 2nd. It is not D, 3rd and 4th, 3rd and 10th. It is B, 5th and 14th. The 5th and 14th amendments both guarantee due process. The Fifth Amendment says the federal government can't deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. This means it protects your rights from the federal government. The 14th Amendment was added after the Civil War and says states also can't deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So it extends due process protections to actions by state and local governments. The 5th and 14th. Okay, so now what we need to do is find a person who answered that correctly. And unfortunately, because of my quick mess up, we were hitting the wrong button. So we might have to come back to this and find a person who got it right. So I'm going to let the producers do that. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is go to Zuki Cam. We're going to go to Zuki Cam because what we need to see is what Zuki is up to. That, and if you're new here, Zuki is my dog, and she has her own camera, and here it is. There she is, just rolling around. Now, if you're a member of the channel, you also get emojis. You get emojis with Zuki's face on it. She's very active today. She's very active today. Very cute. Very cute. Wow. Okay. That was Zuki Cam. All right. So we have the winner. And it was Rich Brimer. Rich Brimer answered B. He answered B. He knew that the 14th Amendment or the 5th and 14th Amendment are the reason why we have due process. So he is the lucky winner of a democracy hat. Now, what we're going to do is we're trying this now. We're going to put a form into the chat. We're putting a form into the chat where you, Rich, congratulations. Let's all give a congratulations to Rich. Congratulations to Rich. Congratulations to Rich. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a form into the chat, and you can, if you fill it out, you put your address in it. You'll verify your YouTube name so that we know it's you, and we will send you a hat. Okay. And did we put that in there? Okay, we did. Awesome. Okay, great. So that is in there. All right, now let us go to this poll about the space flight. We asked if you thought the Blue Origin space flight if it were better for the rich, or if it really helped women. And what you all answered is 81% of you thought that space flight did not help women. 81% of you believe that helped the rich. And I have to say, I actually agree. I think it was a stupid publicity stunt. And it, to me, was a very Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake sort of thing. I think someone wrote, let them eat space. It just feels very like so many people can't even afford eggs right now. And I'm sorry, it's just it's not a win for women. It's literally like taking a trip. They took a trip to space for 15 minutes. They're not scientists. They're not mathematicians. They're not astronauts. They are just people going on a little flight for 15 minutes, and they're floating. And I'm glad they got to experience it, but you're not changing the world. If anything, you're just showing the vast disparity between the rich and the people who don't have much. All right. Okay. Well, I think that's all we got for today. I think we'll save this next video for the next live stream, which will be on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We are meeting every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then we also meet on Fridays at 7 p.m. I'm really grateful that you spent your Friday with me. I hope you have a great weekend. For those who want to protest, there is a protest tomorrow, I believe. I don't have much information about it. The last one I was very clued in on, but I'm sure people in the chat will be able to tell you more about it. There is a protest happening tomorrow. So if you are feeling in the spirit of resistance, there is definitely a protest within your area for you to attend. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you all so much for being here. And then Rich, Sign your Google form so you can get your hat. Okay? And congratulations, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.